Habari yenu. I understand nyote mnaelewa Kiswahili because I'll mix both English and Swahili. Like you've heard, I'm called Paul Wambua, and I will introduce myself through what I do so that we can be at the same page. I run a company called Brooklyn Farm with my wife, and we've walked the journey together, so the story cannot be complete without her. So atawasalimia kidogo alafu arudi. Judith.
Good morning. All protocols observed. I'm Judith Mercy. I'm co-director to Brooklyn Farm. That's what we do, and that's why we are here today. Thank you.
Brooklyn Farm is an exporting horticultural business. We started our operations in 2018, and fast forward, this year we are looking at exporting about 1.4 million euros. We've already done about 1 million for the year. That's your typical SME. So that's where we are. So now let's go back to the story. I think now we are at speed. I grew up in the village like most of us in this meeting, and my father was a peasant farmer. Tulikuwa tunalima mishiri, French beans, down there in Yata, Machakos. And I used to watch what he was doing. And I used to see that I could go to school. I was not being chased out of school, and I took that interest. And I used to see the person who was buying the produce for us. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I used to look at my father, what he was doing in the farms, and I was a little bit interested. But where did this interest come from? I had an uncle who was selling spare parts here in Nairobi, and somehow I think I just liked the business part of it. Because when he used to come at my village home, angetuletea manguo, and you know those times, you don't have these clothes. So I was interested. I think I like this business life. People seem to be doing better than my village teachers. So I liked it, and I said, I think I would want to be a businessman. But then one day, the buyer of the produce came, and they literally dumped our produce as we were watching. And I was sure that produce is what we will use to pay my fees. I was mad. And I said, one day I'll be an exporter to compete with you. What we've done here today, I don't like it. And I was, at that time, I think I was in class 6, 11 years. And I forgot about that, but I used to like the way I used to see him doing. Every 6 months, I was seeing a new rolling, coming to pick produce. I was like, this man looks loaded. I think this is the life I want. I forgot about that. I went about my studying. I went to high school in the village, and I came here in Nairobi, Kenya Polytechnic to be specific. 5 years I studied mechanical engineering, and when I cleared, I was like, hey, should I go now for employment or what? I went to be employed. I quit by lunchtime. Yeah, I quit and I left. The reason was, I looked at the Muindi. I've already done a job worth 30,000, profit for him. Is all right. Profit worth 30,000. And he's paying me 30,000 per month. I don't like it. Left by lunchtime. Then I was, where do I go from here? I can't go back home. My father has nothing to offer me. There's nothing there. I think I had about 360 shillings in my pocket. Then I came here to Nyamakima, and the most interesting part is that we were staying and sleeping in Mukuru, Kayava. You know, who knows? You know that place? In South B, there's a slum there. Near sewage, when we are sleeping, sewage water sweeps by, and as you wake up, you step on the sewage. That was the kind of life we were living then. So I had zero option to go back home. So in Nyamakima, I stood there and I watched people, and I was like, where do I get money to eat from? Luckily, I looked at their feet and I said, almost everybody is wearing socks. Why can't I start by hawking socks? I went to some shops there. They are called city stores. As you go to town, I bought a dozen with my college bag, the one I was using to go to college. I nitengeneza kidogo zingine nikaweka hapa, and I started hawking 20 socks. And this is a guy who was in college studying mechanical engineering for 5 years. Of course, I was feeling very special that nimesoma engineering. And now the life out there was different for me. That day, I went home with 1,000, starting with 360. The interest grew. Then at some point, I employed some boys who started now helping me in hawking. Here in Nairobi, Embu, Nyeri, Karatina, Machakos, name it. I think when you walk in the streets, you see guys carrying socks. Somehow I think I was the engineer of that style of hawking. Why? I went to Gikomba, took some socks, gave to the warriors. They took them to China. I think somebody is learning something here for the young ones. I saw a need. Then I took the socks, because we could not get the right ones in Gikomba. Took to a warrior in Isili. Akazipeleka China. Akapewa knockoffs. Zinakaa za mtumba. And the warrior gave me a credit of 50,000 because he really sold a lot. I started the journey. Then when I was hawking in Irongai, I met this lady who we used to go to church here in town together. And she was like, Paul, is there anything else you can do? Or whatever to better yourself? I was like, I think I'm a little bit okay, but I can do farming because I know it better. She said, okay, I can get some capital for you from a friend. Of course, I pitched. Because in college, when we were graduating, we were supposed to write a business plan, right? I think, Professor, that's what these young lads here are doing today. So I wrote a business plan. What was the business plan about? Horticulture. I wrote a business plan about horticulture. But one thing about this business plan I did, I believed in it. And even though I was hawking, remember when I was a young man, I said, this is what I want to become. But now I'm hawking. I believed in what I wrote. I kept it. And it was in my heart. It was really my driving force. This is me who wrote it. And I believe by that time it was the best for the year. So I went to farming. We got about 2 acres, and I did that job with passion. There was just a company next to where I was farming. They had about 40 acres. I had 2 acres. But I think for the time of that time we were harvesting, I got the best harvest than the company. Do you know what happened? The owner of the company was told, I think there's a young man here who's doing a better job than us. Can you try to talk to him? We see what he can help us with. Of course, they poached me. I left the partnership because they were not good people. That's the first lesson you learn in business. Nobody is ready to give you free money. For all that I did, I was given 3,000 by that lady and the partner. 3,000. But I was not mad because I did a good job and the neighbor saw me and they poached me. What happened with the neighbor? I was put in charge of the farmers in Yata and some areas of Machakos, and also in charge of the farms. Remember, I'm coming from a poor family, working and all that. Now I'm in charge of a region because of a good job done. But this job is aligned to my project that I did in college. Are we right there? So again, some very, very valuable experience in that journey. I was exposed to big money, money that I had never seen. I think per week the budget was about 200 to 350,000 for running all those projects. I did it for 2 years. It was not really my money. And for your information, for those 2 years I was not paid. I was surviving on allowances. But I was okay. Because look, I'm getting exposed to something different. More different than what I can get from anywhere else. But before I went to that farm, of course I had hawked for 4 years. 4 years in the streets of Nairobi and around. My friends, it was a very humiliating experience. Wewe umesoma and you are hawking. Do you think it's easy, my friend? No. I had not met my wife, and I had some interesting experiences for you young guys. I could not date. Sure, I could not date. You know why? Sasa wewe umesoma. The girls who you can date, they don't want a guy like you. This is the journey of an entrepreneur. See, hiyo ndio story mtaka kusikia. I'm giving you the real life because this is what you'll face out there. The girls you can date, they don't want you because you cannot afford their lifestyle, right? And the ones you can date, now you can't gel. Sasa you are Mr. Nobody, yuko peke yako. Unaona hiyo ngumu. Then unatembea streets, unaona one of your classmates amepita na gari, chui, you duck. It's not easy, like, sometimes the story can be meant to be very sweet, but there is a backroom story there, which people don't know. But I persevered, and sometimes I think I was very lonely, and by the time I was hitting 32, I felt very alone. Sasa hapa siwezi date nini, because I was still working. I got out of college at 26. So, unaona hizo miaka, kuna struggle iko hapo mingi sana. When I saw her, nisema sasa huyu nitamchenga. I think within 2 weeks we were married. Now it's 12 years down the line and we are okay. Because I say, this opportunity, I cannot let it go. It might look funny, but that is most of the times the life of a business person. Most of the times you are alone in the kitchen. Right? You get that? So, after we got married, and after the exposure, of course, I left at some point, because I think I'm not that kind of a person who can be employed. My mind runs too fast sometimes. We got our boy. He's called Brooklyn. He has just turned 12. He's doing his exams. At Nova Pioneer, he's joining Brookhouse, I think, next year. So we named our company Brooklyn Farm on his honor, because I believe in continuity. And I know where I came from, so I'm trying to build something so that when he comes, he can find a foundation. And when I was working with this company, my desire to become an exporter grew more. And I said, I want to understand how this thing works. I could rush to the factory here in Nairobi, understand and see all those things. Then they closed. And I think when they closed, we had about 3 months in marriage. All hell broke loose. We have a kid. We are married. And there is nothing. It's no more job. We went to the shags. But my dream did not die. Because now I had been exposed to the business world of horticulture, I went to some companies, got some contracts, and I started using the name Brooklyn to supply them. Of course, I had knowledge, not really the experience of of working with the customers, and knowledge of this and this customer. Then I learned of an exporter who was doing business. Now, this is called taking opportunity for the young guys. You are be aware of that. Sorry for calling you a teacher, but let me use that word. I took an opportunity because I learned this exporter is closing business. Where will the customers go? Of course, you know nature abhors vacuum. You know that. So they have to go somewhere because their business is not closing. It's the exporter here who is closing shop. So I gave him a call. Hey, Mr. Moshiri, I know we've never met, but I know you. Can we meet and you explain to me more about export business? He called me, Nairobi West. And remember that time I'm at home. And we sat down and he gave me an important lesson that day. We were talking over a cup of tea. He told me, Paul, you're a young man, but remember, the customer never cares about the struggle that you went to deliver this product. What they want, it is value for their money. He told me, look at this cup of tea we are taking here. Is it your business to know kama mtu alichomekea kwa jiko akipika ama alipigwa teke na ng'ombe? But you want good tea because you're paying for it. So give value for money to your customers. And when we were leaving, he gave me numbers of his customers, the ones he was serving. And he told me, si umesoma, shika number, talk to them. And usiniseme mahali, I might have messed up with them. And you carry my dirt. Go and fight your way through. So that day, I think I called some guys in France through his contacts. I got an order. But of course, lesson number one for a businessman is run away from poverty mentality. This one is very dangerous. As a businessman, if you are thinking on scarcity of what you have, you will never move because capital is never enough. Capital is never enough. Every time you want 10 million to start your business, you start the following week, you need 15, right? For the people who have done business. Every time you have this amount of money, you need next. So that because new ideas keep on coming. So when I talked to this French guy, he told me, you think you can do that? And mark you, I don't have a license to export. But yet I'm talking to guys in France and I'm saying, I think I can do. You know, I ducked. Because I knew this needs money and I don't have this money. But I forgot nimesoma. And this is an opportunity I've received here and I don't want to take it. Honestly, I ducked for a month. But I still had funny behavior of a businessman. I kept on calling others. Finally, I called one called Nicholas Gallo. Huyu ndiye alinifika mwisho. Nimwambia, I think I can do like Sacco Fresh. Sacco Fresh is the guy I said I'll be an exporter to compete with you. He said, you think you can do that? I said, yes. He said, okay. We've never met, but this is what I will do. That was on a Wednesday. He said, on Monday, I'll send my agent from France to come and talk to you. I was like, what is this? Okay, be waiting. He said, I'll give you the number of my agent. Before he comes, prepare a sample. Take to him at the airport. It was confusing. I went, saw a friend in my line of business. He helped me prepare 2 boxes. Hata sikuwa na pesa, nilizipeleka na mkono mpaka airport. Sijui kwa nini sikuzuiwa na askari, but I took them, labeled them. It was like Joe in France, and they went and they said, fine. Then on Monday, thinking it was a joke, remember the first one I ducked? I was given a call by a French number. Paul, I've arrived in Nairobi, I've been sent to come and talk to you. It's not luck. Remember, I'm offering a product that the market, and I've tried to market myself to them the best way I know possible. Of course, you know, when you are beginning, there is that fabbling and all that. But you have to begin somewhere anyway. So, Later is when I realized this person was coming to look at me and understand, who is this? You know, those guys are rich. They don't mind paying airfare and coming, airfare and coming and going back. I talked with him he gave me time, 5 hours, listening to me. I think he was impressed. I did not know, but I think he was impressed. After finishing, he told me, I think you have to prepare a shipment to go. I don't have license. What I have is inaitangwa nini hii barua ya kampuni. This letter shall be your business registration, sorry. Yeah, that's what I had. Kefis have not okayed me because we've not done the audits. 2, I don't have an export license. But I've been told, Paul, by weekend, has to leave Nairobi to Paris. How? You know what he told me? I told him, that was on March. Why can't we do it on May? I do 1, 2 things. Customers, for your information, they are very arrogant. Be sure of that when you go out there in the business world. For those who are interested to do business. Hawata kubembeleza. You know, it's their money. Remember, value for money. It's your money. You've worked for it. So why should you beg to spend it? He talked very bad. You know what he told me? Well, a bad word. You stupid African. I cannot come all the way from Europe and you start giving me these stories. I'm not leaving Kenya without that shipment. I was put in a corner. Na hata sina pesa, but of course I end a product. Remember, I'm supplying other companies. So, sasa hapo ndio masomo ilikikin. Hii mnasoma. Usione kama unasoma bure. Remember, I was studying mechanical engineering and then I'm doing other things. When you, nafikiri ukisoma hizo vitu unafanya zikiwa ngumu, na lecturer amekupea a very hard thing to calculate, think about, a solution to do. Well, you know what is happening? Unafunguliwa akili to solve life problems, right? Unaweza pewa kitu ya accounting hapa ushindwe, hii nimepewa nita apply wapi? Because that is mostly students think in that line because I was there and I know. Sasa hii nimepewa hii nitaenda kuipata wapi? Inafungua akili yako. Unapata at some point umepata shida but you work on it very fast because your mind is used to solving problems, Because I believe when people step in university or in classes of higher learning, it's about opening your brain so that you can sort out issues. You become problem solvers, right? Ama kukoaji bana? Ama ni hizo ni zangu? You become problem solvers. I'm faced with a guy who is telling me, you stupid African, I'm not living here without that shipment. And of course you feel bad because huyu mtu amesacrifice, surely. Kukuja kukusikiza because you marketed yourself, you offered a product that you don't even have, hata una pesa, export license. So I had to think. Nikafikiria, kuna mtu najua na export na ako na pesa na nimeambiwa nitalipa within 7 days. Ikifika, wacha niende niongee naye, let me try. So I overcame fear. I went, talked to a guy called Iralitel. Usiku ilikuwa saa 2 akipack vitu zake, nikamweleza this is what I have and these are the terms and conditions. Niko na product. I only need you to allow me to use your export license and you give me some capital. And we can share the proceeds. Well, he came out with a funny method. He said, me and my partner, we will take profits. Sasa mimi, I looked at it and I looked at the poverty at home. I remember already I have a boy who needs to be taken care of. I looked at the poverty at home, at my village, and I said, siwezi rudi huko. That's the same way I talked about the socks. I agreed. I agreed. I looked at the bigger picture, of course. I was taking 30%, the business is mine, but because of license and capital, look, this man is milking me dry. But I agreed. I'm in the farms, I'm in the factory, trying to look at everything running up and down. And The shipment went, and the people who went picked to help me do the job, they did a very good job. So when I was coming out of town, I was given a call by the agent, Akiwa Eka Hotel. Paul, where are you? I don't know where he was, by the way. I told him, I'm just passing through Eka Hotel. I'm there, come. Your shipment has arrived in Paris and it is very, very good. The customer is happy. That was my biggest break. Then, that was my first day to take wine. And I took wine and I was happy. Then orders started coming in. Unfortunately, that customer was buying for me was not doing very well, but he was keeping his word, he was paying me. As he was closing, because I was doing a good job, the end customer, because the one I was selling was a broker, the end customer was impressed by the work that I was doing. And he said, Jamal, can you give me the contacts of this supplier who is supplying section? We try to work with him. And that's how I got to the supermarket in France, where we have been supplying for quite some time now. And the rest is history. Now, niliambiwa niongee story yangu. Nafikiri hiyo ndio story about the most exciting lessons that I've learned. You know, in that story kuna vitu mingi ambazo huwezi kupewa the inside detail. One lesson I learned through that story is learn to take opportunities when they come along, because they come once. If that customer who was sent, I kept quiet, I will not be standing here, because we are here, not because I'm an alumni of this university, but because of what we are doing out there. Learn to take opportunities. The other lesson is be a good negotiator. Remember, somebody told me, give you 70%, and I just agreed because I was desperate. I think if I could have negotiated better, ningepewa 50%. Of course, you don't become too hard such that you are chasing away the prospective business partners, but negotiate in a way that will give you a chance to have a shot at it. The other part I learned is get good capital. Don't be desperate to pick any capital that comes along your way. I've learned in my journey of business that you can have partners from hell, a business, who are to suck you out, and you are left with nothing. And there is a reason for that. 2 years in business, of course, I gave these guys a chance, and they refused me. I moved out because the customers were mine and everything. But 2 years down the line, why I'm saying learn to have the right capital. We had really expanded because we were doing a good job. We were, I think we were shipping about 25 tons per week to France. And that expansion calls for capital. And remember my story, we are coming from the village and everything. Instead of using my brains to talk to the right people, I went to Shylocks. So I was given some money there, 4 million, at a rate of 25% per week. How much is that? It's $1 million, Bob. Paying weekly. Interest. I paid for a year. That person alijenga ghorofa kadhaa na akajenga holiday home na huko. And I could not pay 17,000. Mnasikiza hiyo story? As you sell your business, look for the right people. Look for the right credit. Somebody might ask, mbona hukwenda bank? But if these are our banks, they want people with assets. I'm coming from the streets. nimepata time wapi ya kutengeneza assets, but I think watu ambao wako, let's say I know Professor Mushiri na where is the other professor Ayuko, yeah, Rotich, yes. If you talk to guys like Professor Mushiri, hawezi kosa milioni moja anaweza kopa mahali because he has walked a journey of his life, so anaweza kuwa ana uwezo wa kukopa na hata kupea those funny interests which will kill you. Here down the line we end to close because the center could not hold. You are bleeding too fast, right? So if you have the right capital and the right partners, I think you can survive very fast. The other lesson I learned is the right people supporting you. Because not unless you want to feed yourself, if you want to feed many people, you have to have a team. Get the right people to work with you. Because remember, I've said we were doing 25 tons by the time we were closing. And that's a lot of vegetables. That's final product. So have the right team working with you. Now, the other lesson I learned is be motivated. Despite those hard times I passed through, I never lost hope. Even after going home and everything was out. You know, at a particular point, because this is always a journey of a business person. At some point, you have to go down. It was interesting. My house was locked. I could not get anything out. My rollies were with the bank. Actually, zimekaa huko kwa yard. Na in the process of closing this business, nilienda kurokota mboga kila mahali, Kirinyaga, name it, zilikuwa na chemicals. So customer amenikia, of course alikuwa ameniban. Kefis wamenifungia. Ukifungiwa kefis, the AFA, these guys Horticultural Development Authority, they also close you. That point it's when I looked and I said, mwanaume uisha hivyo. But sikuisha my desire to come back. I kept on trying to come back, and then at one time, I saw an email from my customer, which was very interesting. They were saying on 2019, nilikuwa nimelipwa double payment. I never saw it, they never saw it. It's 2 years, that's 2020, 1 year down the line. I'm like, okay. Now, this is where this journey of an entrepreneur gets interesting. At this point, you've lost everything. Actually, you are in debt. Remember, nimesema nyumba, fees, gari zangu zimeshikwa, sina export license. It's like I'm beginning again, and I need you guys to be careful, to be keen with what I'm saying. The customer says, Paul, I think you owe us some 6,000 euros. Na hata una pesa saa hiyo. Nilicheka. Nilikuwa kando ya lami mahali, but nilikaa chini nikacheka. Kasema yani na madeni mpaka ng'ambo. You know, I laughed. This looks interesting. But then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a minute. This might be an opportunity to get back to business again. I told them, you know, I was closed because of that problem. I've done some good work because I was still farming anyway with friends. I think this time I'm careful. I will not mess you with chemicals again. Let me work, do the audits to get back to business again. And obvious, how wazungu, because of the money they have, and when I tell you those wazungus out there who are buying these horticultural products from Kenya, because you know horticulture is one of the leading forex, Anna, when I tell you they are rich, jua wako rich. So they are arrogant. Sikujibiwa. Alinyamaza, but I kept on telling them what I'm doing as I'm renewing my license again. Then when I cleared, I said to them, there is a license, it's back. There is a product, and I think I can load some 200 boxes for you to see. Of course, I had no money, so I had to go to the airport and talk to the clearing agents and also negotiate for a credit facility. And wakakubali shingo upande, but kazi. So on 2020, we came back to business, and We've not looked back since. We've grown now back from that customer to now we are serving 4 customers out there. We're actually working with Gofre, we are working with Lido and Kafu. But Lido and Kafu, we are working through other people. And also Metro supermarkets. This journey, it calls for resilience from the entrepreneur. Because if you lose hope in your journey, you will be another statistic, you will be another story that huyo alianza kazi na ikamshinda. But I don't expect somebody who has passed through university to lose hope. Si tumesema unasoma unafunguliwa akili. I understand today there is a business competition, something like that? Pitching, eh? Will you be pitching something you don't believe in? Remember, what I wrote when I was getting out of college for examining, it's what I'm doing even now. So please, do something that you believe in. Don't do it because the lecturers want to see it. Believe in it. Remember, you are at your prime when you are thinking very well and you are fresh, you are not corrupted. I believe what you are writing here, if kama unjaenda ukaingia library ukaanza kutoa za wenyewe, see, I know what guys do there. Chukua za wenyewe wanaandika. If it's something you believe in na ndio wewe umeandika, work on it. It might be your best bet as you walk along the journey. Even when you fail, because it is something that umechukua wakati mwingi kuipitia through, it might stick in you and it will bring success for you in the future. I think I'm done. And before I sit down, kama unafikiria uko na business project mzuri tuone. We walk through it together. Thank you.
Let us appreciate him more, please. Thank you, Bwana Paul, engineer, for that story that we have heard. English people say that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And I'm trying to look at that story. Paul could not go back home because he had no alternative. And so necessity pushed him to start a business with how much? Those who are listening? 360 shillings. And today he's talking about turnover 1.4 million euros. It is possible. It is very possible. And I think the reason why we do this is to hear a story that can make you also think through and do something. You will not succeed in the inventions world if you don't believe in what you do. And I think that one has come out so well, that he had to believe in what he was doing. And today, that story has turned out to be what it is. Thank you. Let us appreciate him more again. Before I go to the next, maybe somebody, a student here, would have just a question or two that they would want to be answered by Mr. Paul. Can I see somebody wants to ask a question? We give you a moment for Q&A right now. Anyone? You are all tongue-tied. I see a hand. Let's hear that question.
Okay. My question is...
Maybe you rise up so that the camera can capture well.
Okay. My name is Kefa Makotsi. My question is, what profitable business can you start with 10,000 shillings?
I can see Paul is so ready to answer that. Remember, he started one with 360 shillings. and in one day he went home with how much? 1,000 shillings, right? I think he's right. Can I see if there's another question so that he answers all of them at the same time? Another one? Aha, I can see a hand here. Kindly, Daktari, you can pass him. Yes, kindly rise if you don't mind. Just move slightly, so because he's capturing on the other end.
Yes, good morning. My name is Alvin, and my question to Mr. Paul Wambua is, where can we particularly get investors for a person that is looking to venture into the to a business that pertains to maybe health technology, since you are maybe well versed with the aspect of getting funds or other investors? Yes.
Okay, I think that question is well hard.
Before they become too many.
Yes.
Then
all right, please. I think we can take those two for now. We go to another program and then we'll be able to come back with another opportunity for Q&A.
What
please.
was your name again? Alvin. I will surprise you. There is a lot of money around. Muradi see you are Shylock. But the point is that your idea has to be practical enough for it to be funded. Because if it is too complicated, hata the investor hataelewa. But if, like we are here in Kenya and you are having a business plan and an idea, you should reflect what we have here. Usiandike kitu inakaa US, hatutaelewa. Because most of these investors, they don't have a lot of time to waste listening to your idea. Ni haraka haraka asikize, oh, this is workable. Fine. Let's meet. Come we see vile iko, labda atakuja na mtu mwingine wasikize, na sababu labda wamepata watu wengi sana wa kusikiza, they will know whether you understand what you are doing or not. And then when they see the possibility of it giving returns, they will invest in you. So you can get all the funding you need, but it has to be practical enough. Practical enough. Let me surprise you. When we went down, kuna part niliruka. Hukuuliza nilipata pesa wapi ya kurudi tena kazi. Because you have asked me that. Ndio ujue mahali pesa inatokanga. Farming is very practical in Kenya because I believe almost every Kenyan is a farmer. So it was easy for me to explain to a guy through a phone call. Do you know how much money he gave me? 4 million. Interest free. Well, Paul, shika hii tuenda ukaanza kazi tena. Hatukuwa tunajuana. Hata sijui kule alikuwa anakaa na ajui kwangu. But the idea was practical enough to be funded. If today I want 1 million bob from that lady, I don't know her name, Christian, I will give Christian the practicality of my business plan, my business idea, and I know she will give me. Nikitaka utakataa nayo utaitwa. Yes. Yes. I'm that confident. If the plan is practical enough, na ukieleza now the practicality of it, nikifanya hii italeta pesa, anybody will give you capital. And like I've said, even now we do raise. Hata saa hii I'm also looking for guys to invest in my business. Even now, because capital is never enough. Are we together there? But the practicality is the solution. Right? Siku hizi naona watu wakitembea hivi. How can I help them to walk straight? If it's practical enough, you'll be funded. What was your name? Your question was the business you can start with 10,000 shillings.
Yes, 10,000.
That is a very important question. Hiyo ni swali ya maana sana kwa youth. Because hata mimi nilianza na 360 shillings. I've talked to him about practicality. Maana ile part siwezi kukujibu ni biashara gani, because hata nikikujibu ni gani nitakuja kukufanyia. Sorry, that's the language you use there. Huko mtaa. Maybe mnafunzwa ingine. If today I tell you do this business, will I come to implement it for you? No, it's you to implement. So the point is this. Ukitaka kuanza kitu, naona kinawezekana, just start with what you have. You'll gain as you walk. The idea you have, just start. Hata kama ni ya useme mimi nataka kuwa nikiuza simu, si uende ununue simu moja ya 3,000, utakuwa na simu 3. Sell. If you make 500 in the evening, it's 1,500. And you have a balance of 1,000. Remember I started as a hawker. Sikusema nitaanza na duka. Because the problem I've seen with the youth today, they want to be like Paul, who has been in the business for almost 7 years. Is it possible? No. But you have to start somewhere because there is a journey of gaining experience as you move. The practicality. Hata ukiambiwa enda ukauze waru na huko mtaa. Kwanza sahau mambo ya KCA kidogo. Si unajua iko huku. Pretend you don't know what you learned. But as you move, you'll be selling waru kama mtu alienda KCA. I don't know whether you guys you see that connection. As you do your funny thing to earn money, you'll be doing it like somebody who passed through a university. Kuna watu wengi sana ambao ni brokers and they are hawkers. Why am I here? And it's true, I was a hawker for 4 years. Why am I standing here with you guys talking about entrepreneurship? I think in my business I have several graduates working for us. But yet, tulianza kama hawkers in the street. The practicality. Any more questions before I sit down? Yeah.
Okay, maybe that be the last. That be the last for this segment.
Good morning or afternoon. My name is Dennis Kamano. My question is to you, Paul. Kindly delve a little bit into horticulture because some of us are passionate about horticulture. We want to know like the difference between animal and like plant farming, and if it's plant, do you do hydroponics or the normal planting or something?
Wow, that's a big one, hydroponics. Don't do that.
Maybe just brief,
Yeah.
but I know he can reach out to you in detail even after the session.
Yes.
For the interest of the next
Yes, brief.
program. Yeah.
No, we don't do hydroponics because that is complicated. It's not practical. Hizo ni story. Wacha niongeze za njamba. But be practical. Tunafanya ile ya kawaida and we are making money. But ona professor atakupea namba zangu. You can visit us in our factory. We can talk more. Tuko JKIA HCD. Visit us there. We'll talk more. Kama uko horticulture.